to carry on. Open your heart, set your mind at ease. Live your life and you'll be free. We're gonna rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising,
Good evening, welcome to the Toon Review, where we have another latest news and transfer show with Stato and myself. The first thing you will notice is Paul isn't here, and that's because Susan has caught the dreaded COVID. She's now laid up with the... Sorry about that, I've got to silence my phone, lunatic. But she's now laid up with the dreaded infection. So Paul is looking after her now, so it's role reversal in their house at the moment. If you are new to the channel, though, please do hit that subscribe button. We are heading for 22,000 now. And if you like the video, it's free to do that, by the way. And if you like the video, hit the thumbs up too. All the likes are very important to us. They push up the YouTube search engine and tell other people that are like-minded football supporters that this is a channel to be at. Membership's also available by clicking the join button, which is kind of a paid subscription, but that will entitle you into prize member draws, which we will be getting underway very soon. And also, you can donate to the channel by clicking the $sign and donating to the channel like that, by doing that. We'll do a few comments. We'll have a look at a bit of news. Woody Farmer Dennis says, "I hope this Cherki isn't just a jerky. Your opponent don't know it, Dennis." Stephen says, "I never really knew that you could dance like this. Hey, you make a man want to speak Spanish." And then, "Como se llama? Si bonita, si mi casa, su casa, Rayan Cherki, Rayan Cherki." Any good, Alex?
Yeah, not bad. Well
done. Dennis then says, "Just wondering if it's a Muppet-free zone." He was on his own at the time as well. Not you, lol, just in general. Only him and Stephen in, so I don't know. Anyway, Tom's in the house, modding in the background. Hi, Tom. Hope you're well. Ash is also here. Good evening to you. Also to Jock and Carl. Joy Toon for Life says, "Good evening, lads. I'm absolutely gutted. I've been blocked by Boovy on Twitter. I'm heartbroken. What will I do?" Boovy is, of course, the former colleague of True Geordie, the Man City supporter, who was the one that was slandering the North East ladies off, wasn't he, Alex? Absolute dick. And that's rightly been lambasted by all and sundry of the Newcastle area.
I mean, he needs to take his medicine. If he wants to block people, he can block people, but you can't completely disregard and humiliate a city like that without some backlash. It's just rude. You don't do it. You know, he's an online personality. Can we call it that? I think he's definitely ridden the coattails of the fact that his club have been successful and he's got some friends in decently high places. Arguably that's what we're doing as a club of being successful, but we also try to make good content. But we try not to completely disregard a city's sort of culture and history and background and way of life, and just calling. It was very inappropriate and silly. I think he should have just come out and apologized like a man, instead of. I've not heard anything. All I know is he's just deleted everything, and they've deleted all traces of it. He should have just come out and apologized and just said, because you can, in the heat of things when you're on a podcast, I don't want to make excuses for men as a gender, but when he's in a group and they're being a bit bantery, fine. If he said something a bit too aggressive that he shouldn't have said, just apologize for it, move on. But I think it's just been, he's tried to sweep it under the carpet and it's made it worse. You just don't do that.
Yeah, if you're making them kind of comments, I mean, you can claim it as joking or whatever, but you've got a misogynistic, you've got misogynistic feelings in your head if you're doing that. It's
Yeah,
just
but
totally wrong.
you've just got to be real, haven't you? I mean, I know we slag off the Northwest and Manchester and Liverpool, but in reality, we're well aware that the Northwest and the Northeast have had some good development in recent years. They've got brilliant architecture, nightlives. There's decent culture. It's not like it was. They've got a reputation for the 70s and 80s, and it's very different nowadays. We're in 2023, and the human element needs to supersede banter and football, really.
We have a super chat in. It's 50 Saudi Arabian Real from Mohsen Al Marshid. Thank you very much, mate. Really do appreciate that. No comment there, but really do appreciate the generosity there. So what we've got news-wise then. Luke Edwards has been talking today about Alan Saint-Maximin and Harvey Barnes, Alex.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those where I really want to stay very neutral to a point. I know people like to have a bit of a joke, but we've had Keith Downey on the show before. We've had Henry Winter on several times, and I want to be neutral because Luke Edwards is a professional, but I don't really agree with the article. We're in for Barnes. We'll probably sell Maxi. I personally, I think it's lazy journalism. I think it's a lazy article. I think it's low hanging fruit. I feel like it's an article he could have written a week ago and it would have been just as true. It's just the point where I feel like there's a line starting to get blurred between in the nose and journalists, where they've all got some sort of source, whether it's an agent, a mate. Obviously, we know there are some in the nose that are absolute nonsense, but people are friends with. People have got certain connections, and you just don't know anymore. I just feel like it's an ill-timed piece, especially after Maxi's just got back to training, has posted everything about he's home with a love heart. If we sell Maxi, we sell Maxi. It was just a funny news article, really, and the fact that he tweeted out as an exclusive, even though I'm pretty sure there's a Sun article from about a week ago, which is pretty much identical. So it's not an exclusive, really. Sorry, Luke. It's not. It's just not. So I don't know. It is what it is.
I know ASM seems to be one of those kind of players that the press like to. He sells papers, I guess. I guess he's such a high-profile figure within the club. Yeah, he sells papers, but he's coming back looking all positive, looking like he wants to get stuck into it. He can remain fit and do brilliant for the club this year. And he's getting these kind of stories written about him, which I don't know. I tend not to believe, if I'm perfectly honest. But Eddie's also been interviewed. He had an interview out yesterday, Alex. I do believe half an hour job, didn't he? Eddie Howe.
Yeah, that was a great little interview. Actually, we could do with some more of them. To be fair, it was about 6 minutes long, just a little chat about preseason, and about how it's going to be a tougher game. And he literally repeats everything we repeat on this channel. There's more games next season. We need to work hard in preseason. He wants this preseason to mirror what they did last time, but they appreciate it has to be somewhat different because they've got more games in the upcoming season. Really disappointing news about Emil Kraft. I used to completely slate him for his lack of ability at sort of long balls or anything remotely decent, but then he improved significantly, grew into the role, matured a little bit, and then obviously the big injury. So he was expected back after his ACL tear. He was expected back in May. Now, Eddie Howe said yesterday, or whenever this was recorded, it might have been, I assume it was probably 1 or 2 days ago. And Eddie Howe said he's not training with the group yet. He's not going to take part in preseason. That's really concerning. I mean, what's the date today? The 10th of July. So he was meant to be back in May from his injury, and he's still nowhere near playing matches or. It's really concerning. It makes you think isn't we just better off maybe selling him, but we'll see.
I mean, by the time he gets back, it's going to be almost 12 months since he did the injury, isn't it? Trying to move away September time last year, wasn't it? Poor challenge on him. Poor challenge on him.
In the modern day, with an ACL, sometimes you can get quite lucky and you can be back in 7 to 9 months if it's done right. If you're, a year is more of what a standard civilian's out for. It's a long time. I think it was obviously a very bad injury. Because nowadays players can get back a little bit quicker than that. So the fact that he's still not right, it must have been a really bad injury.
Yeah.
We're talking about Emil Kraft for lots of people who are just coming in, by the way.
Yeah, don't be scared. I mean, do be scared because Emil's obviously a valued member of the squad. They're talking about selling him. I mean, would there likely be any medical issues there? I guess there would be if he's just recovered from a cruciate injury. Anyway, we've got a $9.99 super chat from Zishan from down my neck of the woods. Buvik can F off, he says. The women of Newcastle are beautiful. It reminds me of the time I was driving in Newcastle, staring at this beautiful lady and crashed into the car in front of me. Never a good look, that Zish. Never a good look. Evening to you, Nick. Hope you're well. And Rachel in the background also modding. Hope you're well, Rach. Enjoyed your weekend there. Roach, good evening to you and Matt Axelson and the handmade angler who was DJL Floats. Hope you're well, my friend. And all that coffee says we can use the first bit of the intro as the house could use that for Declan Rice chant. I guess they could. Evening to Martin and JB and Vincent and Jock Barr. Ian Fleming. Simon Farriman says looks like the games in US are on Sky as well. Happy days. Depends what time of day they're on at though. Yeah, so hopefully the weekends, I guess it's not too bad. Good afternoon, TTR Heard from Alan. Hope you're well. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from Antonio. Scants 3003 says Alex going to be on fire tonight. 3 meats beefsteak emojis after that, which kind of seems to have caught on now. Ian Fleming, hope you're well. Tom says, is that little gobshite? Is he ignoring his argument? Is as strong as a fart in a hurricane? Nice terminology, that. Yeah, he is. He's not the most popular man in the Northeast, and quite rightly too. Horrendous comments. Dennis says, welcome, my friends, to the show that often offends. Won't you come inside, bring your snide, come in. Dennis, have you been on the Jamaican Woodbines at some point today?
I'll tell you what, I did see today. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but when Tonali was doing that house tour, the gentleman had got a Sandro Tonali little graphic made up of like Birra Moretti, which I'm drinking here. Not that we drink responsibly, everybody. But it was literally Sandro Tonali, but as a Birra Moretti. And Birra Moretti UK, the official Twitter, have tweeted, I think, messaged about they like that idea and they would actually like to maybe put it into circulation. So I don't know if that would be a Northeast special thing, but we might actually see some beverages with Tonali on instead of Birra Moretti. That would be incredible.
I don't think it sold too well in the city doing Wasps. Remember, they didn't eat sugar puffs for about 10 years.
Well, yeah.
After the Kevin Keegan advert with the Honey Monster. Joe Bennett says, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. Only watched yesterday's show this morning, and it's absolutely fantastic. Billy is staying getting. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Toon game was also here. Barnes, Cherki, Inacio, and Hernandez. Perfect window.
It's a very expensive one. You've got to include Tonali in that as well.
Exactly. I was going to say
the payment went out for him.
Good evening to Emma Flyer. KB over in Belfast. Very good evening, Billy and Alex. Good evening to you, KB. Hope you're well. Paul Hurd, good evening to you. Steve Evans says, Geordie TFL, if you're missing Booth, I could send you links to some educational films with complete wankers in them all. Nearly said that then. I nearly said it. Said the worst part of the word and stopped the bit that's okay. Good evening to Ian. Hope you're well. Darren Bloomer too. Let's come down a little bit. Hema Flies has heard from the Saudi news that ASM might be leaving to Saudi League. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I think
difficult
ASM's
to
a bit
know.
more. I think he's more ambitious than that, surely. 25.
Well, I mean that's a bit. Is it disrespectful to say that about the Saudi League? Yes. Is it true? Also, yes. No disrespect to the Saudi League. It might be there in the future. It's not there now. I think that's fair to say. And in all of these articles, they have stated that Maxi's unsure about going to Saudi. I don't know how they would know this. It's not like these journalists have been able to have a chat specifically with Maxi and said, if a bid comes in, would you be cool with going to Saudi Arabia? This has never happened. The only way I can see that there's any legitimacy in this is if his agent's got a big mouth. Maybe agents can happen. They can spread things. They can say things. I'm not saying that's happened. It's just a bit weird because obviously it's completely the opposite to what we're hearing from Maxi himself, what he's tweeting on social media and what he's doing. It is a little bit odd. But again, I've said what I've always said. If we get a reasonable enough fee for him, fine. Let him go. Nobody's bigger than the club.
I agree with that. I think it's people are concerned or interested in the link with Everton. I think we've found out Everton's financial plight doesn't quite stretch to signing Maxi. They're in advanced talks with Ashley Young, who's been released on a free from Villa at the age of 38. So not quite the Maxi signing they were looking for. Fez has put in there the Discord link, which a lot of people go on a Discord bit of the channel, and also the link to the gaming channel, which will be coming up very soon, I guess. Alex is the man for that. Paul Connor threw me in at the deep end yesterday. I'll be playing a bit of FIFA on it, hopefully, if I can just how to do it. JB says tonight his girlfriend is taking a lot of abuse on a recent post from some of the Italians.
Well, if anything, that's just going to reinforce her decision. If you give them abuse.
So. Brian says, I used to like Boovy. Disappointing. I never agree with him, never, but I liked him. Even to Peter Birdie-Fjord. Hope you're well, mates. Lewis, Boovy, Rory, and Adam are snakes. Know nothing about football. They were on the kickoff show, weren't they? With
they're also U-turning a lot. A lot of people have tweeted me about and spoken about on the show about Rory's recent videos about us. Just completely U-turned on his opinion from less than 12 months ago. You know, he's talking about us potentially being in a title race, and we have to finish top 4, and the fans, the expectation has to be top 4. It's nonsense. You don't speak for us. You're a Chelsea fan, and a lot of fans who still want top 4. You also don't all speak for us. We've all got our own voices, and the fact that we've got to try and match our points total from last season whilst also playing in a Champions League competition is going to be really difficult. So, my expectation is not top 4. My expectation is to try and get close to the points total again. Nothing to do with the league position because that's out of our hands. It depends on what other teams do as well. So if we can try and get sort of 60-ish points or above, that's the benchmark now, because that's normally the points total that gets you in and around European football. If we can get 60-ish points plus and not be embarrassing in the Champions League, I think that's a massive win. Because it's a new step for us. It's a massive learning curve for the squad, and you've got to remember the intensity we play with is going to be extremely difficult to sustain over a full season with European football. So it's a massive learning season for us, and I feel like we might finish even 7th or 8th and still be okay. If we get out of a Champions League group but finish 8th, is that a bad season? I mean, it depends on the context, really.
I think you can see by the players. Well, he's already signed Tonali, and we're linked with other, skillful attacking players. I think Eddie Howe's trying to kind of cut out the draws that we had so many of last year. I think he's wanting, of course, one win's as good as 2-3 draws, isn't it? So if we can cut out 2 of those draws and get a win, we're points ahead.
We can actually lose more games. As long as we can turn some of those draws around into wins, we can actually lose more games and get a higher points total. We just need to stop drawing to all the lower teams.
I think that's the reason why we're linked with all these, let's just say, attractive-looking players on the football pitch, of course, not in real. Well, they're not ugly fellas by any sort of imagination, but skillful, creative players. They all seem to be have that accord, don't they? And talking of which, Alex, you got your first player ready yet?
I can bring him up in a moment, yeah.
Tom Dixon says, is there anything on 19-year-old Leon attacking midfielder Rayan Cherki, who we've been linked with?
I mean, he is on the thumbnail, so it's very possible. We have looked at him before, I believe, as well, on different transfer shows. We looked at him like 12 months to 18 months ago. We've definitely done him before.
We've done him in the past 2 weeks, I'm sure we have.
Probably, yeah.
But Ian A says, I remember John Hall's son, Douglas, and Freddie Shepherd's son slagging off all the women. They were dicks as well. Yes, they were very much ostracized after that, weren't they, too? Gareth Gill says, taxi for Maxi. 13 goals in 4 years is not as good as 13 goals in one season. HB to the Toon. Interesting. Who would you guys get rid of now, and how much do you think we will recoup from the sales? Interesting question, but we'll have to have a look later at that. Alex is just getting the first player up. So we'll just go for some questions, some comments, I should say. I think ASM would be a revelation in the Champions League. We need to keep him. I agree with you, P-Law Keith. I really do. Northwest is Carlisle, Keswick, Penrith, etc. Liverpool and Manchester are the West Midlands. And strange enough, just for Tom, here we have Mr. Rayan Cherki.
Indeed. So, yeah, for the people that did say, "Oh, we've been linked with him again last night," yes, I did see after the show had finished. It is difficult to always, follow all the links while I'm at work, but yeah. So he's been linked again by some French publications, some general online publications, and also some in the UK. So his name's come back around again. There's been a lot of talk today from online papers and in the nose about a 20 million euro or 20 million pound. I'm not sure which it is, supposed fee or maybe a bid. That feels awfully low though for this kind of player. So for those of you who've not seen him before, he's been around for a long time. He's been a very well-known player. If you play any kind of football manager or FIFA games, he's always been like the go-to wonder kid on the right wing. He's been around since he was sort of 15, 16 years old on these kind of games. So he's quite well known in sort of nerdy circles. But this has been sort of his breakout season for him. What else was I going to say? Yeah, so 20 million, whether that's euros or pounds, I'm not 100% sure. Or it's way too low for this guy. His transfer market is around 30. However, we have spoken about him recently, but I'm going to add a few things in that I've not added before. We do have recent dealings with Lyon. We got Bruno from them. Secondly, they are in a bit of financial trouble. That a lot of the French clubs are not in the best position. So this is a homegrown talent. He's come through their youth academy. So anything sort of upwards of 30 million would be amazing for their bookkeeping, would be phenomenal for them. He's also on fairly high wages for the French league as well, to be fair. 70,000 euros is quite high for France. Although Lyon typically are challenging at the top end of the league. So no problem with the wages for us. We can increase it. No bother. 2 years remaining on his contract. Still only 19 years old, which is mental because this kid's been around for like nearly 4 years. So the fact that he's not even 20 yet, he's still a teenager, is just ridiculous. So Poussignon in France, he is a Frenchman. And I did say this on a previous show in which we reviewed him. This is one of the few players I've ever seen on FBref. If you have a look at his footedness there, it says both, which I have to draw attention to because if the statistical websites go, I don't know, I guess both, that's a massive compliment. So for anybody who's been watching much of the under-21s tournament, obviously he's been playing for France. He's been quite mercurial. He's been ridiculous. And Billy was chatting to me just before we started about how he's been compared. Well, what was it you said? That he's considered the best young talent to have come through Lyon by some.
From there. And it's a famous academy. People like Benzema, Ben Arfa, Awar, people like that, Fekir, have all come through this academy. So it's high praise indeed to say he's one of the best that's come out of here. No. Yeah,
I mean, the two that I'm sort of fond of is the Benzema, Ben Arfa, those two when they came out at sort of the same time. And the fact that everybody's basically saying that Cherki is above those two is some praise. Like that is mental. So there is not a chance that this guy goes for this whole 20 million euro or pounds, whatever currency it was posed in. Not a chance in hell. I feel like even 30 plus add-ons is an absolute steal for what this kid could be. This could be one of the best wingers in the world for a decade. And whoever gets this guy, like the Arda Güler transfer that, we reviewed him a bunch on the show and I was obsessed with Arda Güler. He's a Turkish wonder kid. I talked about him all the time. He's gone to Madrid as the new right winger, like was the backup right winger, and he wants to fight for a first team place. He's not going out on loan. I feel like this is one of the other younger wingers in world football who's in that category. I feel like he is at that level. I really do. And whoever he goes to is it doesn't mean it's always going to work out. These wonder kids sometimes flop. It doesn't work. They get injured. They have some attitude issues. It doesn't always work. They go to the wrong league. They don't get the right manager, the right development. But this kid's got it. This kid's got all of it. Whatever it is, he's got it. So let's have a look at his last season. I know we've been waffling, but this is a big, big player, and I feel like it's justified. 34 appearances last season in Ligue 1, just under 1,900 minutes. So definitely his breakout season in terms of appearances. 10 goal contributions for a child. He is a literal child. That's brilliant. 4 goals, 6 assists. A little bit unlucky, actually. Should have arguably had 5 goals, 7. So should have really had 12. So he's running a little bit cold there. -2 on his output. So let's go and have a look at the important bits. Right. So that bit, he's really good at all of it. All of it. So it's one of these players that it looks like he's got super glue on the insides of his feet and the outsides of his boot. Whenever he touches the ball, it just doesn't move. He just commands the ball. It's like he's literally using the force. His close control, his balance, his change of pace, his ability to beat a player is just absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. It's like from the streets kind of football. And you can see the successful take-ons is in the 99th percentile, 3.8 successful take-ons per game. He's gonna square up to his man, whether it's stopped or at pace, and he's gonna beat him 4 times in a match. That's such a useful thing to have. Progressive carries is in the top 2%, 6.39 progressive carries. Progressive passes on top of that. It's to have somebody who can also do it in the passing capacity, who's such a skillful dribbler, can also do it in the passing range. He's so careful with the ball as well. Quite often you see a drop off in pass completion and passes attempted. They're still really, really, really good. And the shot creating actions is through the roof, but that's to be expected with all of his ball progression. His shot volume, normally there's a drop off somewhere with these kinds of players. There isn't a drop off anywhere. His shot volume is through the roof. His shot creating actions is through the roof. He scores goals. He sets them up. He dribbles. He passes well. It's all there. It's literally all there. There doesn't seem to be anything lacking in his game. With the exception of obviously you can see there the defensive statistics. So he's not massive. He's still young. Arguably, he is a bit of a luxury player. Is it something that could be trained into him? Possibly. He's no slouch, but he's not Miggy. Miggy's work rate is untouched on that right wing. He is an absolute workhorse. So this is a different profile, but it's what happens. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have world-class, you can't buy players that are Ballon d'Or contenders that are also going to work as hard as some of our players in our squad. It doesn't work like that. It's like, find me a player that can win a Ballon d'Or through technical skills and also be a workhorse. The only players I can think of that tick all the boxes are maybe somebody like Kaká with his output and tenacity and physicality, but also his technical ability and goal output. Like Kaká, maybe. You don't often find both. So he is a bit of a luxury player. Somebody in the chat put, Aguidi is clear. They're quite similar, to be fair. So yeah, I will scroll down before we talk about him all night. Right, I feel like this backs me up massively. This does a lot of the talking for me. You can read these if you want, Billy.
Yeah, well, we've got Ousmane Dembele at the top from Barcelona, Vinny Jr., Lionel Messi, Evans above, Kingsley Coman, Neymar, Kvaratskhelia, Salah, Salah, Jack Grealish, and Riyad Mahrez. Not a bad 10 players there to pick from.
Yeah, literally all the best teams and the best players in the world. So, Dembele's just won the league with Barca. Vinicius Jr. is a Champions League winner with Madrid. Messi is Messi. He's won everything. Koeman has won the Champions League with Bayern, scored a goal in the final. Neymar is Neymar. He's won Champions Leagues. Kvaratskhelia has just won Serie A. Yeah, he's just, it's mental. It's absolutely bonkers how good this kid is. So, let me just reverse back to the start of this conversation. 20 million euros. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And he's 19
too. He's got plenty of time to evolve and grow up even. So
15 years old. There you go. So this was he's been around for a long time. This is what I was talking about. So breakthrough season really was now, although he's had quite a lot of appearances in previous seasons. You can see the minutes totals aren't quite there, but he's had a lot more time on the pitch this season, a lot more responsibility, and then he's gone straight to the tournament with France for the under-21s and played a big part in that. Obviously, France didn't quite work out for them with them getting knocked out, but it is what it is. So let's move on to the next page for him and have a look at some games. Here he is. Algerian descent, if people didn't know. I think he was born in France from Algerian parents. So we've got playmaking, long balls on here. As you can see, it's all very green. He's just not dropping bad performances. Average performances over the course of, well, this is since September, all the way through, very consistent. And these are the competitions he's appeared in this season. And then if we go and have a look at one of his better games, 4-1 against Switzerland. Obviously, they did get knocked out by the Ukraine. He actually scored the goal in that game, which a lot of people did watch. So for people talking about Greedy, there we go. We've got Cherki in the same side here. I mean, this is a bonkers side. They shouldn't have lost that game to Ukraine. It's a farce. It's not good enough. So all over the place. I mean, we talked about work rate. In this game, as a 10, he was pulling all of the strings. He was taking other people's strings and pulling them. He was all of the strings were pulled. Literally ran the show with 105 touches. Passing accuracy was immaculate at 91%, and a key pass. 8 long balls, but despite playing in the 10, 2 shots on target, 2 shots blocked, completed 6 dribbles, which is insane. 1 a penalty for his team. Physically, 10 out of 13 ground duels. So at his age bracket, his physicality and his work rate is fine. He drew 2 free kicks as well. His defensive output, 2 tackles, 2 interceptions. If anything, from what I've seen of him recently, I don't see any reason why he couldn't be physically good enough. He looks fine. I feel like the statistics maybe do him dirty a little bit. I think he's definitely got it in his locker and he will grow for sure. So let's have a look at the game against the Ukraine, which they lost. So when they were up against it, how did he do? Out on the left this time, or the right. Okay, fine. Left, right, everywhere, either wing, whatever. He got his goal, 2 shots on target, 2 shots off, 5 out of 9 dribbles, 81% pass accuracy, still nice and tidy. It got a key pass, tried 3 crosses, 5 long balls, 9 ground duels as well. So really getting stuck in. Drew 2 fouls, couple of tackles. So, what more is a man to do? I mean, he scored the only goal of the game. He looked like he was working his absolute socks off. Ukraine just scored 3 goals. And then last game of the season against Nice, they did lose 3-1, but Cherki got an assist, dropped to 7.3. So he was playing through the middle as the 10 here. Look at this. I really love the heat maps for him. He's everywhere. So 58 touches, very tidy pass accuracy. Again, he got his assist, 5 key passes. I mean, that's nuts. 4 out of 4 long balls, created a big chance for his team. A couple of shots. He got a dribble, 2 out of 5 ground duels. So you can see the physicality starting to drop off there when you get to League 1, potentially playing against older, more physical players. However, he is incredible. He is fine. Pogba to Saudi, maybe. No, we're not bothered about Pogba. Go away. So 12 caps for the under-21 with 5 goals. Very impressive output. As we talk about every show, if you've got caps for any level for France, you are very good. Contracted until 2025. I have seen a few people in the chat ask about release clause. I don't know is the question. I've not seen one. I've not heard anybody talk about one. I've not been able to find one. However, this is one thing I was talking about with Billy before we started. His agent. So his agent's not listed on here. I did some digging on my lunch break today, and apparently, Mbappe's mum obviously has always represented Mbappe, but apparently she's now started her own agency, and Cherki is among one of the players who's going to join the agency as a player. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means PSG are just going to get him. No idea. Very strange. I don't know if that's true, so don't quote me on that. It's just what I found. So if anybody knows otherwise, please let me know. But yeah, there we go. I thought we'd do a little bit more of a deep dive into this guy because he is just insane. He's so good. And then if he moves anywhere interesting, or if he comes to the Premier League, it means you guys can all go, I know exactly who he is. if we see him on telly, because he's going to be incredible.
He's very like a player we were linked with in 1996, a Frenchman, although he's not as tall as this Frenchman. But I can't believe I'm not going to say this. He's very reminiscent of Zinedine Zidane in many ways. The way he can kick the ball to his feet, the control, the touches, the skill, the passing. It's very, very like him. He's obviously modelled himself on him. And of course, he's from the same sort of North African descent as Zidane is, isn't he? So I don't think it's the same country. I don't think Zidane's Algerian as such. I think he might be, but it's that kind of neck of the woods. And they're very, very similar as players. And if Cherki is half a player that Zidane was, someone's getting themselves a real star. A real star. We'll take some comments. The Chelsea fan, you want about spouting off how he doesn't like our ownership model too. I commented on his channel mentioning that Chelsea started off the rich foreign ownership model back in 2003. You're right, they did. Yeah, they did. They don't like they've been caught up. See, that's the problem with Chelsea. David Brewster, good evening, lads. Just started the show and I've been shoveling a shepherd's pie. Good man. Good man. Having 5 subs helps our style of play for a strong bench, says JB. Absolutely. That's what it's all about, getting some depth onto that bench. As I said many times last year, you could virtually guarantee there's only 3 players on the bench you can trust, and you'd only see 3 subs. But with the depth, that's what we're after here. Dave says they're trying to be controversial like TalkSport. Absolute clowns. Don't know how they have subscribers. Chris on NUFC Evermore done a great rant on Boovy today. Good for Chris. Fuggy Crack, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Hemi Flyer says also Sport Italia reported Newcastle agreed to sell ASM. Well, I've not seen that. Jan says too soon to say, but it would be nice to make Champions League again. It is too soon to say. You're absolutely right. But before the beginning of the season, we will be definitely predicting it.
I've just seen a few people in the chat talking about Disasi, the centre back we reviewed yesterday.
Yeah.
There is one guy on social media claiming we've agreed terms tonight, but it is one guy.
It's not Axel Disasi, is it?
Wait. So it's Steve K, who is a freelance journalist, transfer expert, football/Arsenal correspondent for the Transfer X, transfer.com, and featured in Court Offside. So, he's kind of bridging the gap between journalism and in the nose. He's a freelance journalist. He's got some employment in certain publications. Maybe. I don't know where he would have got this from, but and then obviously all of the other NUFC Twitter pages have just jumped on this and started retweeting that we've agreed personal terms. Maybe. You never know. It doesn't mean we've bid for him, though.
We want to keep an eye on. If they've agreed personal terms, though, surely this is the case of, I'm saying that, we've done it with Harvey Barnes apparently as well. We haven't agreed a fee. So, yeah, it seems like we're going to players before we're going to clubs, which never used to be the way at all. It wasn't allowed. Do we have Premier League fantasy team code for TTR? Not as yet, Mark. We will get that set up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I imagine. But way before
everybody's been talking about it behind the scenes this weekend. So it is in the works.
No, we haven't seen the best of ASM. He's a must keep. He's just come into his prime. This lad's similar to Cherki. He's got the similar kind of skills in his feet. And yeah, it's 2 fantastic players. If we were to get Cherki, God. He's going to be a massive star. He's going to be a £200 million player in 5 or 6 years. Absolutely,
it wouldn't surprise me. I'm just going to let the dog out. So I'll be 1 second.
Okay, I'll come with some comments. Julie says stands from my point from yesterday, but we'll put it better. Those blokes who slug off Jordan women are the same guys who drool over Cheryl and the Geordie Shore lasses. In actual fact, Julie, I thought you probably put it better yesterday. It would be great if we could keep ASM and get all these prospects in. Not sure that is going to happen, though, says Ian. What else we got? Chris Elliott's here. He says, evening, guys. Can I ask, is anyone still waiting for their new tops? I ordered mine on release dates, and I'm only in Belfast, not Bangkok. I can guarantee there are people waiting, Chris. You know what Castor's service is like. The job's too big for them. They're too small of an outfit to cope with the demand, basically. You'll get it eventually. Just hope you get it before the start of the season, buddy. Because last season it didn't happen, did it? David Knott says Rayan Cherki is a football manager legend. Lots of people having a go at this Rory and Boovy fellow. Toon game, a rumour coming out. We are speaking to the agent of Noah Okafor for about €30 million bid. That'd be an interesting rumour. Not heard of this fellow. Have you started? No, he's German.
Noah Okafor. I've seen his name on Football Manager a bunch. Okafor. Yeah, it definitely rings a bell. That's why.
Is he
Salzburg.
goalkeeper? Is he goalkeeper?
No. Yeah, I know who he is because he's Red Bull Salzburg. He is a forward for Salzburg.
Oh, he's the next one off the production line, is he?
Why have we been linked, or is it just somebody that someone likes?
Toon Game said there's rumours we are speaking to the agent of Noah Okafor. There seems to be a never-ending conveyor belt of strikers that come out of Salzburg, isn't there? Year in, year out.
I mean, 10 goal contributions in the Austrian Bundesliga in 1,000 minutes, 3 goals in the Champions League, 23 years old. He is on that conveyor belt. He's a ball carrier. Yeah. Austrian
Fox
Bundesliga
says
is massively underrated.
Cherki for 20 million euros is pretty funny. Seacrest Boxer says Liverpool is not in the West Midlands, it's the Northwest. West Midlands is Stoke and south of. No, Stoke isn't West Midlands, Seacrest Boxers. It starts at Wolverhampton. So, in some ways, you're right. Wolverhampton, West Bromwich, Birmingham, Coventry. That's it then. Ends. Boovy, they're not a northern lad.
Like this. Everything sounds really sad.
Can't believe it. Boovy's not a northern lad. He's from Bristol, and we all know about Southerners. We do indeed. You shouldn't criticise Bristolians, though. Some nice people in Bristol. Jan says Cherki's the type of player we should get at this price. It's never a waste, win-win situation all the time. I think we're going to agree on that, Alex. It's not if we agree with Jan, but he's right on this occasion. People still criticising Boovy.
Rightly so.
Brian says, evening, Billy and Alex. Get well soon. COVID is a bitch. Just heard we bid for a striker in France called Noah Okafor. But apparently his club told me we haven't got him for tonight. We will probably look at him later in the week. Or tomorrow, I should guess, or Wednesday, because Alex is going away for a couple of days. So next player, is this the next player ready, Alex?
Yeah, I just need to move over to that tab. There we go.
And we have Abel Ruiz.
Yeah, Abel Ruiz. So, I mean, as Billy kindly reminded me before we started the show, missed a penalty against James Trafford in the final. Didn't have a particularly good game. However, I think he's a decent player. Slightly different profile for a Spanish centre forward even. So a little bit more physical. He's not over 6 foot there. He is technically, I mean, you'd argue in slightly big shoes. He's 6 foot, 5 foot 11 and a half. So 23 years old, plays for Braga, so in the Portuguese league, and he's done okay this season for a fairly young guy leading the line. 2,000 minutes is very respectable, nearly 2,100, 34 appearances, 8 goals, 6 assists is very, very tidy. He's bang on the money for where he should be in terms of goal output. His assists, I mean, maybe his teammates have done him a few favours there and scored a few bangers that he's just kind of laid the ball off to them. So he should have really had 3 assists and he's on 6. But even so, he's double figures for goal contributions and he's young. So especially in Spain, he's got 1 goal in the Conference League. Not the Conference League, sorry, in the Europa League, 400 minutes and no goals, but only the 86 minutes in the Conference League. So some, reasonable experience for his age, although he is Spanish, even though he plays in the Portuguese League. Let's scroll down and have a look at the important bits for him. So, Billy, you mentioned you weren't super impressed with him in the Under-21s tournament. What was it you weren't too sure about with him?
I only saw him in the final. I didn't see any others, but it was, didn't seem very calm in front of goal. He's got a nice first touch, that being said, but yeah, his finishing weren't great in the final itself.
I mean, I don't think that's unfair to suggest. His shot volume's not super high. His non-penalty XG isn't the best. It's just below average at 0.32 per 90. So the non-penalty XG is what we really want to be looking at. That's the quality of should he be what should he be scoring, excluding penalties, and he should be scoring at this rate. And he's I mean, is he doing that non-penalty? I mean, he's pretty much bang on what he should be for non-penalty goals. So he's outperforming it by 0.01. You could do with this going up a touch, maybe. I'm sure I would imagine it will as he kind of matures and in front of goal, especially. Maybe you'd like the shot volume to go up a touch as well, maybe up to 3 shots per 90. So yeah, there's a case to be made. Ball progression isn't there, but he's a centre forward. Your ball progression is not always going to be very high as a centre forward. I'm quite impressed with his progressive carry statistic, to be fair. Having watched quite a lot of him in the under-21s Euros, I was quite surprised when I first looked at his FB ref that he was such a good ball carrier on paper. Because he was an okay ball carrier, but the data suggests he's a lot better than I thought he was with my eyes. So I don't know. I don't quite know what the reality is, really. This is why you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But he seems brilliant on paper at ball carrying. Receives the ball very high up the pitch. You know, he is a centre forward. Lots of touches in the attacking penalty area. He's very, very safe with the ball as well. You know, but somebody who should... I think Foxy. I was literally just going to say that. You've taken the words right out of my mouth since leaving Barca. So high pass completion percentage, as you would expect for somebody leaving Barca, should be technically proficient. He shows that in his play. Defensive statistics are okay for a centre forward. You know, he's quite meaty and physical. He works fairly hard. I still feel like he's a little bit young, although that's harsh because he's 23, so he's not super young, but I feel like he does need maybe a couple of years of development before he's maybe firing on all cylinders. Like, I feel like if this guy continues his progression, he might have a standout season and maybe he can move back to Spain and he will have a season where he bangs in 20 goals. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a move to like Villarreal or Sevilla or a team like that, and goes and scores sort of between 15 and 20 goals and is rated quite highly. I don't know if it's maybe ready for a Premier League move. I wouldn't say so. I think he needs to stay in the Portuguese league or maybe go to La Liga. In terms of who he profiles like, you've got to remember he's outside of the top 5 leagues. He's in the Portuguese league, so it's going to compare him to different leagues. So Timo Pukki in here, of course, has gone to Minnesota. Who else we got?
And he'll be pleased. The Bristol City player made it.
Bristol City, yeah. Tommy Conway's in there. So you've got some Brazilian league players, not people I'm super familiar with. I know NDI from Sheffield United, but so decent player in terms of his career. So there we go. There's the Barcelona B in Barcelona. Made an appearance, 22 minutes, and they won the league. And then, yeah, kind of odds and sods and slow progression up through the Braga ranks. 1,200 minutes, 1,300 minutes, 2,000 minutes. He's steadily getting more games. He's playing in a dominant side in Portugal. They're fourth, and third in the last 3 seasons. So they're always part of that top 4 sort of push. His metrics have gone up phenomenally this season. You know, his output's decent. We'll go and have a look at a game, shall we? We'll have a look at how he profiles. So he's valued at 9.5 million on SofaScore. Number 9. So, although weaknesses, aerial duels and ground duels. It didn't really say that in the data. It definitely didn't show that in the data. I mean, aerials possibly. I don't know. I feel like that's a bit harsh. SofaScore's just making stuff up. So, I mean, he won. Obviously, was it him who got the goal scorer of the tournament with that photo? I think it was, wasn't it? So I think he won top goal scorer of the tournament, and then he was stood there holding the trophy for the boot. Really, really sad because obviously they lost in the final, which is quite mean. So versus the Ukraine, they scored 5. He got a goal and an assist. So this was the formation, a 4-2-3-1 with him up front. Oh, it's decided to reload the page. Let's do that again. Ukraine. There we go. So in this game, you can see where he's trying to stay in and around the 18-yard box and get into it where necessary. 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 shot on target, which was probably his goal. 3 out of 5 successful dribbles, a couple of key passes, 4 out of 10 ground duels, a few fouls. So just quite scrappy, really. A little bit just floating around the box, trying to get on the end of things and make things happen. What else we got? We got a goal against the Ukraine there. Oh, they had to play him twice. Funny that. Oh, he didn't start this game. Did he come on as a sub? Interesting. He did. So he got his goal as a substitute as well. Of course, there's Gabby Vega, who was out of favour in the under-21s. I don't know why he wasn't really starting. It was very interesting. So he came on, didn't really do a lot, but got his goal. He was very tidy with his passing, 9 touches of the ball, successful dribble, and his only shot on target was his goal in 26 minutes of play. So, he's a decent goal scorer. He is a decent goal scorer. I do need to type in his name into transfer market because we're still on Ruiz. There he is. Oh, we do have an agent as well. I actually haven't looked at his agent before, so 20. I mean, I didn't actually see his. I haven't looked at his transfer market when I was prepping him. So this is a first viewing for me on the transfer market. 28 caps for the under-21s and 14 goals. That's decent pedigree for the youth teams. To be fair, apparently he can play out wide. I'm not so sure I agree with that. With how we play, I kind of wouldn't really want him going out wide. It's the same as when Callum Wilson goes out wide. Sometimes he'll put in an Alan Shearer cross, but most of the time we don't really want him out wide. I feel like this is much of the same. I wouldn't want this kid out wide. So
he did drift to the right, though, didn't he? If you remember the game, he was drifting out to the right quite a bit to support the fellow on the right side against.
I mean, to support in build-up, yeah, but for most of the time you want him in the box. He's very much needs to be in the box kind of player. So, 2 years left on his contract. You can see how important he is. He's actually made 2 caps at senior level. I didn't realise that. That's quite impressive. Captain of the under-21 squad. He's been part of the youth setup for a long time. So he has got good pedigree. Again, part of the Barcelona setup you can see there all the way from, he was actually from the Valencia Youth Academy up through Barca and then all the way up and went to Portugal. What was I going to look at? Yeah, the agency. Do we know anybody? Transfer market wants to load. That would be lovely. I've not looked at this, so I don't know what what they're gonna have on their books.
Well,
we might as well do some comments while that loads.
Yeah, we'll get that loading. And Rachel's put there about the Toon Review fitness channel, which is coming soon. That's Rachel and Susan once she gets off her deathbed, of course. They're going to be doing some fitness videos for all us lot that want to lose weight. I'll be donning my headband and joining in with them. Stretch 2, 3, 4, and all that. Here we go with the players. This fella's agent looks after.
I mean, do we know anybody? I mean, do the club know any of these people? Have we done any dealings with anybody? David Villa, but he's retired, of course. Wow, what a throwback. Managers. I mean, Guillermo Barros Schelotto, Jose Luis Oltra. I don't think we've had any dealings with anybody on their books. So, yeah. Abel Ruiz, my honest verdict is could be a decent player for a club in maybe 2 seasons when he's developed. But no, I'm not super keen. I don't really want us to go in this direction. Obviously, I will always support anybody who we buy and who puts on the black and white shirt, but I wouldn't go down this direction at all.
No, neither I. I've only seen him the once. Wasn't impressed at all, really. But maybe a move to a bigger Portuguese club, Benfica or Sporting or something like that, might help him, or maybe Spain. I just don't see him working in the Premier League at all, if I'm perfectly honest. We'll do a few more comments. Jason says that Axel Disasi agreed personal terms with us allegedly tonight. I'd be interested in one to keep an eye on, as we said earlier. Ian A. Sorry, Rachel, I'm not downloading threads. Zucker can go jump without my money. Oh, there you go. Zuckerberg, he's a stocky bloke, says Jan. We're talking about Cherki. And it says, sorry, evening, Billy, I'm late as usual. Well, you can always catch up, mate. It's not a problem. Steve says, Zucker, read on, take your pick. Frying pan on fire, I guess. Maxi Tavatino moment in the Champions League year. Yeah, we wouldn't put it past him. The lad's got all the talent in the world. Predator says, be interesting to see what the new channel is about, Rach. I've been training 6 days a week for about 15 years. Axel Disasi would be great, but can see Man United getting in with Ten Hag links. I'm not sure Man United have got the money for it. Just splashed out on Mason Mount. They've got this sale of the club going on. I'm not sure the Glazers want to be investing superly in the club. They've done it every year. They get slagged for it. So I can't see the Glazers investing much more. We've got plenty of centre halves as it is. So if we're after him, I think we're in the box seat with him. I must be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to get their house in order. I think they need to figure out what they want for the window. It does look like they're doing that with the goalkeeper situation, but I don't know. I feel like if Man United just decide to click their fingers and offer a higher wage, I think that's it. It's done. We won't get him because we won't break our structure, at least not yet. So we'll see. I definitely think it's very possible, though. I do think it's possible. I think he's a perfect fit. He's not super young. He's not like super well rated. He's just good. He's a very good player. He's 25. He's a good backup for Fabian Schär. Well, potentially not just a backup. I feel like he could very much, there's an argument to be made. He could be starting ahead of him if he starts well in pre-season. I think it'd be a great move. It'd be very, very smart. 25-year-old centre-half could be really good for us for the next 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
So with Botman, who's only 23 years old, that could be a 7 or 8 year partnership potentially.
I agree. And he's not at his peak yet. I mean, centre-halves, you look at 28, 29 before they get to the peak.
6'2", right-footed, bit of a tank, quick.
Still room to improve as well. Eddie Howe as well behind him. I think it'd be an excellent signing. Tom's put Tonali's just posted his own vid on Insta with him arriving at NUFC, getting started by Sam Fender as a soundtrack. He's getting into the culture straight away. Fair play to people talking about threads and Twitter there, the comparisons. Pages and Paul says, with Mbappe's beef with PSG, they may not get any of her clients. That's a fair point, I guess. That is a fair point. They'll fall out, haven't they? Mbappe and PSG at the minute.
Well, I'm not sure they've fallen out. It's a rock and a hard place, really, isn't it? They don't want to lose him, but they don't want to lose him for free. So it's like, if you're not going to sign a new contract, you have to go this window. And that's kind of fair. Nobody's bigger than the club. It's actually quite admirable that the club have come out and said, look, because they've been made a mockery of in the media that Mbappe's gone by the jewels. And now they've come out and said, look, you're not bigger than the club. If you're going to let your contract run out, we'll just sell you this window. It's a nice change, to be fair, because PSG have been run awfully in recent years. Well, for most of the years, to be fair.
Bill Moore says Cherki loses an awful lot of possession, probably needs to improve that part of his game. He's 19. He tries tricky things. Sometimes it comes off him, sometimes it doesn't. You've got to take into account how old he is, how much experience he's got, how much he's got to fill out, how much improvement he's got in him, nowhere near his peak. No, this lad's special, Bill. He can have the odd loss of possession every now and again, if I'm perfectly honest. Jenny said, I'm one of the TalkSport gang. There were some lunatics on there, though. There are indeed. People are still talking about threads. Tony says Zidane was born in Marseille. He has Algerian heritage, yeah. So it's similar kind of background, isn't it, with Cherki?
But you're not allowed to say that in France.
No, obviously not. Is this kid a number 10? If so, get him in. Anybody can play anywhere along there, can't he? Number 10 or
I mean, that's a good point, actually. I mean, keep going. I'll bring it up. I've got something to show.
Hi guys, I'm quite late today. Thoughts on Hernandez rumours again? Well, I agree that we're a fantastic player, but he's going to be dear. He's very dear. Alan said, I'm getting stoked for the summer series. Just learned this morning that Shea Given and Shola Amiobi are the special guests at the pre-match fan event at Atlanta. Brilliant. Hope we enjoy that. Styles getting Rayan and Cherki back up.
I will learn how to not force it on the screen straight away eventually.
All right. I knew you were doing it. Let's just read the Mighty Wins comment. As long as the new rivals don't disrupt the team spirit, which, well, that's obviously, I don't know what you're saying there, but they obviously won't. They'll all have been scouted. The Connor says, even all great to see Billy staying with the channel. Thank you very much, mate. Antassi said, I can't read comments. I lost my gigs again. I'm squinting to type here.
Yeah, I lost my glasses as well, actually. Gutted. So this is Rayan Cherki's sort of positional statistics, where he's played in his career so far, have been appearances. So everywhere, basically. Second striker, centre forward, left winger, right winger, and attacking midfield. He does look more threatening through the middle, but quite capable. He was a right winger in a lot of all of the games and stuff from sort of 2 years ago. He was very much touted as a right winger. but can definitely play through the middle. And my dog knows it's nearly time to go for a walk.
She does indeed. She's got it off Tom to see, hasn't she? Yeah. We have done the 2 players. We have done the hour, so I guess we are close to it. Anything else you want to say about him, Alex, or was that it?
Yeah, I mean, there are other players we've been linked with. It's just we get linked with so many. I don't feel like there's much point in us going through absolutely everyone. And I know a lot of guys would prefer me to try and deliver stuff with as much quality as I can. And a lot of recent links that have come out have been players I've just never ever seen. We've had some links with, who else have we had? We had the youngster from Everton that I've never seen before. We've got Davine Mukasa, who is a free agent. We've got just random players that I've just never seen play football before. And until we get a slightly stronger link or there's a bit more in it, I just don't see the point in having a look at it. We will if we've got enough time, but I feel like these are slightly more important links, like the Disasi one, Cherki, and the Ruiz, because we've never reviewed him before. But again, if you guys really want to see a review of a certain player and I've not done it and we have been linked, then just tweet Paul at the Toon Review on Twitter, or tweet me, tweet Billy, or come and join the Discord as well, and comment on the live shows after they've aired as well. You can also add a comment once the show's finished, but do make sure if you haven't already done that, like today's live stream, please. That'd be much appreciated.
100%, yeah. It's just as Alex says there, he's just bang on. And of course, if you're new and you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight, hit that subscribe button too. As I say, we are heading for 22,000. We are rising at a rapid rate. Super chats were available, but you can, after the video is finished, you can still do that, donate by clicking the thanks button, and also memberships available by clicking on the join button and following the payment routine there. We have come to the end of the show. After the hour, we have reviewed 2 really good players. One more better than the other, obviously. But time has beat us tonight, folks. So thanks to the mods in the background. Thanks to all you lot for watching. Thanks to Stato. He's going to have to do my bit tonight.
Away the lads and lasses.
Abel, we bid you a good night, and we shall see you tomorrow. Good night, folks.
Come back and check out some green.